Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? It's your boy Savage, aka Sevloccs. You tuning in to Sevloccs Hotels. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Let's get to the politic, man. Appreciate everybody showing the channel love, all the love and support. So I appreciate that a lot. So in this video, I want to talk about the three biggest wars when it comes to gangbanging out here in Denver. These wars, they started a long time ago. A lot of bodies dropped behind these wars. A lot of people locked up behind these wars. And with these gangs, there's a pure hatred. Now, there's always new generation hoods that pop up. And yes, there's been wars in recent time that there's been a lot of bloodshed behind those wars also. But these are wars that were from the era when stuff was really serious. You know what I'm saying? And to this day, people are still dropping behind these wars. So one big reason why I want to shine light on situations too, when it comes to politicking and just, the aspect of, Denver and the gang scene. First and foremost, I always hear people trying to badmouth Denver politics and the gang life, which they never ever actually got out here and got active with any neighborhoods from Denver. And they'll be on the sideline and just kind of looking into what we got to offer and what's out here, and they'll actually form an opinion. And that's okay, because you're always gonna get that. But when the aspect of people that die in the streets out here, and people, they start disrespecting, just, calling it watered down and off brands and this and that, you know what I'm saying? I always have to shine a light on that because, I have handfuls and a lot of homies that done died in these streets, homies that are never coming home, that are on them yards for putting in work and catching life sentences, and that's hella disrespectful to their names, to everything that they did for their hoods and different things. You can go anywhere, bro, in life, and you can go to any city, little cities, big cities, and you can die in the streets if you're not aware of what's around you or you're not tapped in. I know fools that came from other states out here and thought it was all sweet and soft, and they're no longer breathing. They're no longer here, and it's unfortunate because ain't nobody really put them on game of who they were around, and they thought they could just talk anyway, and they became a victim of the street life out here. I seen it on this last video too, and it was the little Sureño fool I did the last video for. Even fools in that comment section, oh, Denver's sweet, this is that and that, and it was just blah blah blah, and they just were like, this is what we heard, instead of actually being out here and actually being on the front line out here, even though this ain't their backyard. But you can't talk until you really out here on the front line getting active with fools out here, hoods that are out here. And that's what I got to say to that. So let's start off with the three biggest wars. And these are wars that come to my mind that I know people that done died from both sides of these gang wars. Like I said, I'm everywhere. This is my city. I'm a proud, 5280 baby. Denver General, where I was born, and I represent Denver to the fullest, from the sports teams to, every block out here. I got pride in the city, you know what I'm saying? And I'm always represent in a good light. One other thing I want to say before I get started with this video, when you look at it too, bro, the face of gangbanging out here, it's a way littler population than other states like California, where big portions of big cities are banging. Like, the portion of gangbanging out here is not even half that size. Not half the size of Chicago. So you can't compare or contrast because of murder rates, because it's a way littler population compared to them other states. But for what it is, fools get hella active and fools are dying, bro, left and right. This summer alone, every day you look, fools are getting shipped off from Aurora to Denver, So number one war I want to talk about, this is a war that goes back to the early 90s. And this is a war that to this day, fools talk about. Because one of the hoods is still around, and the other hood, it seems that they went extinct after the war. They're not here no more. The GKIs and the Inca Boys. Inca Boys, man. Now first, when they first actually became the Inca Boys, West 5th, them fools actually were some riders. They sported the Miami Hurricanes colors. And them fools were known to Cetra with everybody. They had a lot of beef. But the main enemy of the Inca Boys was the Galleonites Insane. I did a video on them and who they are. Galleonites Insane, they got out here and handled their business. And from the looks of it, they eliminated mostly all the Inca Boys. I heard through the grapevine the Inca Boys were trying to make a comeback with some new stuff called IKG, Incas Killing Knights. But the Galleonite Insanes, they got from the streets in the west side, because they're both from the west side, from the streets all the way to the pen, you're going to see GKIs in the streets and in the pen. You don't really see the Inca Boys at all. I remember some fool named Fat Rat from Inca Boys. I have a cousin named Screamer. He got his neck sliced and threw in a trash can. Big backstory on the Inca Boys and the G's is that at one time, before they became GKIs and Incas, they were actually the Lapan Boys. And some situation happened with two families and they split up to become in two circles from the west side. They're both from the west side, and they became bitter enemies. And for a long time, Inca Boys, they were actually very deep out here and they were very activated. But the G's, just being in the penitentiary and having that mark in the penitentiary, them fools, they overtook the west side. And they overtook, because the pen is where a lot of G's, they became a prison gang, and they became a gang that was a force in the penitentiaries. And they were eliminating any Inca Boys that came to the yard. They called them fools skunks. And the last I ever seen some fool that really had like a West 5th tattoo or an Inca tattoo was Ben County, and they were riding with the LPPs. There was 3 of them fools. And they had to be dropouts and join the LPP gang for protection. So that's the number 1 on the list. You know, the GKIs handle their business and kind of extinct the Inca Boys, where Inca Boys are not even around no more. You don't see them in Denver, but you see the G's for sure. Second gang, second war between gangs that bodies were dropping. And up to today, because both of these gangs are still around, you had the Odies and the Chicky 30s. And the Chicky 30s basically are 2 different circles. You have the Chicky 30 Ladas and you have the Chicky 30 Crips. Chicky 30 Ladas are more from Swansea, and they're just basically east side Chicano fools. They say loc, they say cuz, but they're more east side Chicano SA fools. And then you had half of the Chickies that were born in the east side of Denver, because Swansea and the east side is kind of by each other. But you had the Chicky 30s that were from Arapahoe and 30th, have ties with some of the Compton Crips, and they became Chicky 30 Crips, also Mexicans, and they pushed the Crip line. While in doing that, there's another Chicano gang called the East Side Odies. I talked about these fools also, and their stomping grounds were in East Denver by 37th High, 37th and Gilpin, all the 37th Avenue. They're the ones that went by East Side Odie 13s, but they dropped that and they're East Side 37 now. And these 2 gangs hate each other. To this day, they hate each other. It's on site with these gangs. They've both, in the last couple years, they've took casualties to both of the gangs. The Odies, I would have to say, when it comes to factors, the Odies have took casualties with OG fools that are factors. There was a fool named Gammo, and he was a killer from Odies, and he was on a mission to eliminate Chicky 30s and Eastside Crips. And in his time, he was putting in work If you came around that fool, you better have a pistol on you, because he was known to chip off his enemigos, his rivals. And he got killed last year. And since then, they've been going back and forth. You know, I could name different Odies and different chickies, like Big Flock or CIP. You got Gammo from Odies. You have Wolf from Odies that got killed. Patches from Odies that got killed. You have Little Tiny Monster from chickies. Like, the list goes on, bro. And to this day, they are out here and they are putting work. They are putting work in on each other, and it's bad blood. They're not going to be on any yard. If they run into each other on yards, they usually have to get down with each other, and they will do anything to get at each other. And anywhere, any given time, they are putting in work on each other. So that's the second war out here in Denver, Colorado, that took a lot of bodies. People are locked up behind them wars, and they both got riders. In my opinion, this last war has took more casualties and more bodies than any war out here. And this war has been heated since the early 90s. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. These two gangs cannot stand each other, and it's been a lot of people dying behind this war, and that's the Trey Gangsta Crips and the Crenshaw Mafia fools from Park Hill. These fools, they get active, and when their wars flare up, and there's times when actually it's a little peaceful, and then all of a sudden a factor will get killed from one of the sectors, and that starts the flare up. And they've been killing each other since the early 90s. It's one of them things, when one of them fools get killed, there's get back right away. There was a situation where OG Psych Mike, he gets killed out here. He was one of the co-founders of the Lokes that actually breeded the Lokes out here in Denver, Colorado. He gets killed, and the Trey Gangsta Crips, little homies, goes to the Hollies, and they burn down the Hollies, the supermarket, and that was like the stomping grounds for the Crenshaw Mafia from Park Hill, and that set off wars. Like, if you was walking in the east side, you had to be ready at all times, because Park Hill fools were gonna slide. If you were walking through Park Hill, you better have your pistol on you, because in the east side Treys, they were going to slide. The penitentiaries activated. I've seen many fights behind them, many wars, and we're pulled into that because we are east side Denver fools, and when the east side goes, we all go. Let me say it like this. Them two circles, the biggest wars, but being the east side fool, you always had to be on your toes around any Park Hill fool, because that's just bad blood. They just don't like east side fools, and east side fools do not like Park Hill. One story between the two, the Crenshaw Mafia's hit Downing, the Conoco on Downing, and that's where everybody used to go wash their car. And that right there is a deadly avenue, because to the left, it's all Odiville, and that's like miniature Mexico. And to the right, that's all, because the east side split. You have Bruce Randolph, and on this side, right, that was all like the black area. On this side, it was all the Mexican area, and that was the dividing line. Well, that Conoco was kind of in between. So the Odies and Crips will be right there, and you potentially lose your life going to that store. But the Park Hill fools come, for some reason, all the way to the east side on the wrong side of the boulevard, and they go to the car wash, and some Trey fools actually are at that gas station at the same time, and they both see each other, and they open fire on each other, and one fool named TT Mac and another fool named PK both kill each other. That set off a domino effect, the bodies dropping. This was like 2 summers ago. And yeah, those are the 3 biggest wars up to today. If you come and you really tap into the politics, you will hear about them wars, and they are ongoing wars that will never stop. I don't see it ever stopping because there's so much bad blood between them sectors from Denver. So you know what it is, man. Salute. Thank you for tapping in. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and let's get to the politics. Let's go.